The jury in the Delphi murder trial now has the case. A group of 8 women and 4 men are now deliberating to determine if Richard Allen is guilty of murdering 2 teenage girls back in 2017.
After about 2 hours of deliberation, the jury has called it a night.
It's the case that gripped the world.
This was one of those that the moment it happened, people became obsessed with it.
2 8th-grade girls disappear on a hike in the tiny town of Delphi, Indiana. What came next? A horrific double murder in broad daylight.
This city of 3,000 is on edge. 2 bodies found, no one in custody.
The bodies have been positively identified as Abigail J. Williams, 13, of the Delphi area, and Liberty Rose Lynn German, 14. This is considered a double homicide investigation.
Tens of thousands of tips pouring in, and a critical piece of evidence. Video recorded by one of the girls pointing directly to a suspect.
For a long time, the question was, who is Bridge Guy? A lot of people in town thought they recognized him.
We have his face, his voice, his image, the way he walks, what he sounds like.
Rumors and theories swirled for years, until a surprise break in the case led police to Richard Allen, charging him with double murder.
I think in 2017, Delphi was the safest place any of us felt like we could be. We would leave our doors unlocked. We didn't have security systems.
In the soul of small-town America, an unthinkable crime. And the victims, best friends. 14-year-old Liberty German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams.
They had the same interests in music and arts, had played volleyball together.
Everything was normal up till February the 13th, 2017.
It was a beautiful day that the girls said, you know what, let's hang out together. BFFs. They went out for a walk.
The destination? The Monon High Bridge Trail. Hours later, when the girls were supposed to meet Libby's father to be picked up, they were nowhere to be found.
Becky tried to call, and she said, hey, can't get a hold of Libby. I said, all right, let me pack up here, and I'll head that way. Just walking up and down trails, trying to look and hollering and yelling. She said, it's starting to get dark. Think we ought to call the police.
Everyone was out looking for these young girls. But you still had hope, you know?
But then, a full day later, the search party made a disturbing discovery.
This is considered a double homicide investigation. No further information will be released at this time.
According to the investigators, he killed them within 20 minutes. And according to a blood expert, Abby was forced to put on Libby's clothes before she was murdered. So Libby's naked. But what happened between the guy on the bridge, on Libby's phone, saying, guys down the hill, they go down the hill. What interrupted him?
Over time, police circulated 2 very different sketches of the suspect.
Those differences in the 2 sketches were very noticeable and actually created a lot more questions for the public. Investigators began to release evidence and information that was captured, taken from Libby's phone, including video that shows the so-called Bridge Guy.
He looks exactly like every single person in Indiana. He's wearing the clothes that everybody here wears, everywhere around us wears.
Then, an audio recording. Investigators, desperate for leads, asked the public if they were on the bridge that day to report what they saw.
Richard Allen himself called police not long after this whole incident unfolded and self-reported being at that trail.
In the information vacuum, the internet obsession only grew.
Definitely eerie being out here, even in the daylight, because this is the time of day when it happened.
About 5 years after their brutal murders, authorities had more than 70,000 tips that they were investigating or had investigated, and yet there were no suspects and no arrests.
In 2022, a lead coming in the form of a wrongly documented file found by a volunteer clerk at the sheriff's department, leading back to that name from 5 years earlier. Richard Allen.
A cold case of 5 years.
And they find a Sig Sauer handgun, which authorities say matched an unspent bullet round found at the scene of the crime.
And that bullet was the same kind that would have been used in the gun found at Richard Allen's home.
Police arrest Richard Allen in October 2022 and charge him with the murders of Abby and Libby. The 52-year-old is a husband, a father, and known around town.
He's someone who lived there, was an ingrained member of the community that no one put like two and two together. Like that period of time actually tells me this is how much people actually didn't suspect him.
Now in 2024, more than 7 years after the murders of Abby and Libby, Richard Allen faces trial for their deaths. Behind closed doors, key details about the crime coming to light for the first time. Some evidence at trial, raising more questions than answers. To start, Richard Allen pleaded not guilty to the murders.
A large part of their argument is that Richard Allen confessed over 60 times to wardens, inmates, family members, almost anyone who would listen within this prison and jailhouse setting.
He had a conversation, for example, where he asks his wife, "I did it, Kathy, I did it. Do you still love me?"
But Allen's defense, trying to poke holes in the prosecution's case and focusing the jury's attention on those confessions and Richard Allen's mental health after being held in solitary confinement for months on end.
We heard from his psychologist who testified as to what a decline he had, and some of the behaviors that he displayed in prison were alarming. He was naked a lot, he was rolling around on the floor, he was eating paper, he was drinking from his toilet. All of these things, they say, were proof that he was really suffering mentally and entering psychosis, including at the time when he was admitting to these crimes.
Another point of strength for the defense, investigators found no DNA evidence at the scene linking Richard Allen or anyone to the crime.
Having no biological evidence in a crime scene that is very bloody, grotesque, probably also very violent, is peculiar.
In an unusual filing, which the judge ruled cannot be allowed into court, Allen's team pinning the double murder on a mysterious group, what they are calling a white supremacist cult of Odinism.
I thought this was probably one of the craziest offenses that I've ever heard of in my experience.
My first response to that was, I was sort of baffled by that. It's not surprising that there are groups of Odinists proliferating sort of in that Midwest area.
Central to their argument, the idea that the girls' bodies were found in unusual positions with branches over them, which the defense argues were actually pagan runes, symbols that have mysterious significance.
So runes are widely incorporated into Odinist culture as well. At no point have we really seen the idea of ritual human sacrifice. This did not make any sense to me at all.
Richard Allen's fate is now in the hands of 12 jurors. If convicted, he faces 130 years in prison.
Susan, what do you believe?
I truly feel the evidence points to Richard Allen, but we'll see what the jury decides.
Even once they arrested Richard Allen, there's been so much doubt across the board as to whether he's responsible. Whether he's convicted or not, I think there will always be that speculation in Delphi as to who really is responsible for this crime.
The jury is currently still deliberating at this moment. For more information on the Delphi murders, subscribe to Delphi After Dawn.